Hey, Benchy. Open up, mate. How are you?
Oh, how are you, mate?
Good. I've just come for a garden tour.
Welcome to my humble abode.
Cheers.
Yeah, come in, mate.
Taz here from Shifting Sands Horticulture. I'm here to check out your garden, Benchy, so give me a look around.
No worries, mate. What do you want to know?
I'd love to know a little bit about the design of the garden and what inspired you to turn a full house block into Australian native garden with your Grevilleas. I know you had a garden over on the island and then ended up over in Daleston. So
yeah, well, first thing, I've been collecting Grevilleas for 20 odd years and I had to have somewhere to plant them all. So I initially wanted 10 acres of gardens as far as the eye could see. But in the end, we could only afford what we could afford. And we bought 2 house blocks side by side here in Daleston. And the main idea of this whole garden is to bring the native wildlife in, birds and insects.
Yeah, cool. Well, you've definitely achieved that. I love the way it's all layered up. Where did you start? Like, how do you start a garden like this?
It takes a lot of passion and dedication. Learnt off some really good people. Read a lot of books, you know, and my first passion was Grevilleas from Western Australia. So to grow those Grevilleas from over in that region, to put them down here in southern Victoria, we have to graft them. And, yeah, so we graft them onto a silky oak Grevillea robusta rootstock, so they can tolerate our heavy clay soils down here, and you know, the wet, cold winter we get throughout the winter and the year.
So how many species do you think you'd have of Grevillea here?
Well, a year or so ago I counted over 200 and I've collected a lot more since then. So.
When creating a garden like this, what's the best starting point? Where should people start? Because a lot of people probably wouldn't know what to do.
Okay, well, the first thing is to, check out the area where you're going to build your garden. So you want to assess the soil conditions, wind direction. You want to go and check out other plants that are growing nearby in that region and just see what's doing well, you know, in other people's gardens. You also want to talk to other people, read up about the plants that you want to grow. And, you know, one of the first things that I did here to achieve this garden was we're not far from the coast. The coast is just like 5 minutes just down the road to the south. So what we get is a real predominant southwest wind, you know, throughout the year, and it just absolutely hammers your plants, you know. So the first thing I had to do was to build up a perimeter, a screen around the outside of the block, you know, and this straight away helps to create a bit of a buffer from that wind, and then you can plant your more delicate plant genera and species inside of that.
Okay. And I noticed you've raised your bed. So did you bring soil in, or was the soil already here?
Yeah, no, I only brought in 15 truckloads.
Whoa!
So the first thing was, how the hell am I going to get the amount of soil that I needed? So I spoke to someone who was doing some house development, and they managed to bring in, you know, the truckloads of soil. Now, the trouble was this soil they brought in was scraped off the surface, so it's sort of a top surface soil. Full of weeds.
Yeah, right.
And it's a real heavy volcanic clay soil. They put it in a big pile in the middle of the block here, and then I thought, all right, now I've got to try and get a hold of someone to move it all where I wanted.
Yeah.
And so the first thought that I had was, okay, I've got to draw up some sort of a mud map, you know. And so I had a little piece of paper and I sketched the design. It just came to my mind. I looked at the position of the house because I want to be able to see the garden through the windows of the house. I looked at the sun comes up from the east and then lowers in the west in the afternoon. Predominant wind direction, you know, all of the above. So I drew this map and we got this little Italian fella, and he came, and within a day I gave him the map and he moved all the garden beds and positioned them exactly where I wanted them. He even put little drain channels in so the water can escape, you know, when it fills up in the paths, which is really clever, you know.
That's amazing, mate. And yeah, the aspect is just spot on, because I can just see all day sun. That's your south down there, isn't it? And that's all nicely screened.
Yep.
So you've nailed it.
Wow, thanks,
you've done
mate.
well, mate. And I love these paths as well. And I noticed they're quite wide. Is there a reason they're a little bit wider? Or?
Yeah, well, I had an open garden here last year, and because I do a bit of, I'm not only a horticulturalist, but I do a bit of disability support work.
Okay.
And one of the first things I thought of was wheelchair access. So,
great.
You know, so I had to make the gardens wide enough for wheelchairs and people with disabilities.
Fantastic.
But also it helps when I'm doing the garden maintenance, you know, there's a bit more room so you can get in, you know, with the wheelbarrow and shovel stuff around and that sort of thing.
How did you improve the soil once it was all mounded up?
Okay, well, that was a bit of a process, and I followed the same procedure that I did with my last garden on Phillip Island, which worked really well.
Okay.
I used the mulch from our local rubbish tip or transfer station or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It seems to have all the really good nutrients in it to, you know, condition the soil. Once you put it on top of the existing soil that I've mounded up, all I do is churn it in. So I go over the garden and dig it in and combine it into the heavy clay.
Okay.
I also sprinkle a bit of gypsum on top and combine that in as well. And then later on, I add the native eucalyptus mulch or, you know, bush mulch on top of that. And, you know, that's all I needed to do.
What are some of your favourite features? Because there's some beautiful bits of wood and bird baths that I'm seeing, and it really blends in so nicely.
I've tried to, you know, keep it looking as natural as possible, you know. Okay. So everything is for the wildlife, you know. A lot of the plants were really young, and the trees, you know, hadn't developed yet or anything like that. I try to have some old logs and tree stumps and the like, you know, placed in the garden so that the birds can sit up on here, glide on down into the garden, you know, pick off the yummy flowers that they want to grab the nectar out of. You know, plenty of bird baths, so, you know, you've always got to change the water every day with the bird baths, you know, keep it nice and fresh. Because a lot of my plants are from, you know, other parts of Australia, predominantly Western Australia, I've tried to add like a lot of local you know, grasses and flax lilies like this beautiful Dianella here, you know. Great habitat for your, you know, your local wildlife. Everything is sort of made to try and replicate a natural environment.
And that's what I love about it. It feels natural. It's not contrived, or it's not too... I myself don't like gardens that are too ornamental or sculptured. Yep. This feels natural, and I love that. Mate, as the garden's evolved, what other things have you done? Like I don't think I noticed this steel last time.
Yeah, well, that was a recent addition, you know, because I got sick of the, you know, the pesky blackbirds kicking the mulch onto the paths constantly, you know. So I wanted a bit of a defining edge to the gardens, you know. So this holds the mulch in really well, and I've used a good quality steel, not just some cheap stuff, you know. And so it'll, you know,
it's a nice thick gauge.
Yeah, so it'll sort of last forever. You know? And we've put a nice compact Tuscan topping on here. So this is I think it was a 20 mil grade with a bit of a mix of finer stuff in there, and it sort of sets really hard, like almost like a bit of a concrete, but without you know, having to use concrete, you know. So that's it holds really well. So the way I maintain it is I just go around with a little weed burner thing, so I don't have to use harmful chemicals.
Great.
Because we've put enough chemicals in the environment, don't we?
And into our bodies.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love the way these plants cascade over the edge as well. It really looks, as I said, natural. So.
Yeah. Well, the garden's always constantly evolving, mate.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I try to do. You know.
What tricks have you used to make the garden look more visually appealing?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the first thing I always think of when planting out a garden is I always try to put like a feature large shrub, say up on top of the raised garden bed. Yeah, and then I sort of taper the garden down. Yep. So we have the larger shrubs at the top, then we have the sort of the medium shrubs with also a few trees I've planted in amongst here to create a bit of natural appeal. Different foliage colours are always very important. Different textures, you know, of the foliage. So then we get down towards the edges of the garden down the bottom here, and I have more sort of almost ground covery low plants. Okay. So you get a nice sort of tapering visual
I've noticed
appeal.
That way you layer it up is beautiful, and with the accent plants, it ties in really nicely.
Yeah, thanks, mate. And then a mixture of the grasses in between. You know, the grasses are very important, you know, to add that bit of flow and foliage, you know, texture and interest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always been told it's good to have that three, like the natural environment, have that 3 layers with your ground covers, your shrubs and your taller trees.
Yeah.
So
when we moved in here, the first thing I wanted to do was to get as much sun and light to my grevilleas as possible, you know. Great. So I first put in all the grevilleas and the lower stuff and wait until they get up a little bit. Right. And then I've sort of, later on, I've stuck a few eucalypts and some larger growing banksias and that sort of thing. So they'll evolve and all come up because, you know, you need that upper canopy for the birds to, you know, sit in. And
even your street trees, the way they sit as well, and the hills in the background, it sort of just it flows on from the garden, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't understand how important our street trees are and to look after them, you know.
That's right.
Because they really, you know, green up a concrete jungle, you know.
Exactly. And with all the subdivisions, I suppose, we're sort of losing the backyard garden, so the trees are going, so we need to put the trees somewhere, don't we?
That's right. Yeah. And we've got to have little wildlife corridors for the you know, the local animals, you know, too.
Exactly.
So they need to be able to hop from one you know, bit of bushland to the next, and that little corridor of trees really is like a little pathway to the garden. And that's one thing I've noticed here is not many of the surrounding houses unfortunately have many gardens, you know. So, but what I have noticed here is this garden I've created is like a hub for the wildlife. You know, I see the birds come from different angles and they zone in on the garden here, and it's real pleasing to see how much more wildlife I'm getting in these days, you know.
That's great, mate. And look, you've inspired thousands online. Is that a part of the reason you do it, just to get others on board and to create that habitat?
Yeah,
great.
Totally, to try and twist other people's arms to look after our environment and do, you know, something similar to what I've done here.
Do the environment a favour and yourself a favour.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
In the words of Molly Meldrum. So is this where the magic happens, Binchy?
Yeah, mate. Well,
you give me a little peek, or it's almost a black art, this grafting.
I'll give you a little pass, mate. No,
cheers, mate.
No,
all right,
come in. So yeah, this is the greenhouse. So
wow,
these are my Grevillea robusta. So, you know, I grow these from seed.
Okay.
You know, that you can either buy online or collect from a tree. And they're a Queensland, northern New South Wales to Queensland species of Grevillea, the largest Grevillea in the genus. And they have the strongest base and most tolerant root system of all the Grevilleas. So what we do is we get another a desired species of Grevillea, say Western Australian species, they won't go any good here on their own roots, some of them. So we put them onto one of these Grevillea robusta, and it'll grow here, and you can pretty much plant this silky oak, you know, anywhere around Australia and other parts of the world, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I suppose the name says it, doesn't it? Robusta. So it's robust, and I've actually heard it's a really good cabinet making timber as well.
Oh, okay.
Really good timber. Yeah. Value.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, you can pump it full of water and, you know, full of a bit of fertiliser and that sort of thing, and grow these robusta up really quickly, you know, so they're ready in time for the grafting in the late spring and into summer, you know. So these are some grafts I've done recently, and they're starting to fog up in the bags nicely.
Great.
But if people want to learn more about grafting, I have done a video recently about how to graft a Grevillea onto one of these silky oak rootstocks.
Yep. Mate, it's been really inspiring checking out your garden as always, and I just want to thank you for this garden tour.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate.
Cheers.
And don't forget, check out Shifting Sands Horticulture. Terry's got a great YouTube channel he's recently started up, and he's also on Instagram, aren't you, mate?
That's right.
Yep. So if we've missed anything today and you would like to learn any more about my garden or Terry himself, just drop a comment, and I'm happy to respond as always. And don't forget, subscribe to my channel. I've reached over 1,000 subscribers now, and I'm really appreciative of all of your support. And until next time, we will catch you soon.